Welcome to Introduction to Probability and Statistics. This course is designed to give you a clear and practical understanding of the most important concepts in probability and statistics, without getting lost in unnecessary details. We'll focus on the essentials of random variables, probability distributions, and statistical inference. The full lecture notes are available online. Just check the link in the description below. If you like this course, like this video and subscribe to Dr. Data Science for more content that makes complex topics simple and easy. So what is a random variable? When we perform a random experiment, we are often not interested in specific details. For example, we may flip a coin, or we may toss a six-sided die, or maybe we want to know whether it's going to rain tomorrow or not. So all these are random experiments because we have usually more than one possible outcome. And in many cases, it doesn't really matter what the underlying experiment is. We want to be able to quantify the behavior of this random experiment or random system. And that's exactly where we use random variables. So let's look at a very quick example. Let's say when we flip a coin, we get heads or tails. Unless we do these 2 times using 2 coins, coin 1 and coin 2. So obviously we get 4 possible outcomes: heads and heads, heads and tails, tails and heads, and tails and tails. And in this case, we can specifically analyze the behavior of this system based on the number of heads and tails. But the easiest thing to do is to actually assign a value like 1 to heads and 0 to tails, right? So 1 means we get 1 heads here, and 0 means we get 0 heads, which means that we got actually tails. And now we can look at the sum of these 2 experiments, meaning that if we get heads for the coin 1 and heads for coin 2, that's 1 plus 1, which gives us 2. And then if we get 1 heads and 1 tails, regardless of where this happens, then we get 1 plus 0, which is 1. And if we get 2 tails, we get 0. So this is exactly how we construct random variables. So this means that now we have this sum, which we represent that using a random variable x, which can take on 3 different values: 2, 1, and 0. And now we can define the corresponding probabilities. So the probability that this random variable equals to is 1 out of 4 cases. Remember, the basic definition of probability is just the ratio of the cases that we see something over the total number of possible outcomes. So probability of x equals 2 is 1 over 4, which is 0.25. Probability of x equals 1 is 2 out of 4 cases, which is 0.5. And probability of x equals 0 is 1 over 4, which is 0.25. And this is exactly how a random variable works. It's a variable that can take on multiple values, like here 2, 1, and 0. And then we need to define the corresponding probabilities for the occurrence of these values. And in the case of discrete random variables, which means that the case where we can actually count them, like here 2, 1, 0, then you can see that this is very easy because we have a discrete set of outcomes and corresponding probabilities, and we know that the probabilities must add up to 1. And for continuous ones, that's the focus of another video, which we talk about continuous random variables. But before getting there, we need to define first officially what a random variable is. A random variable is technically a function that assigns a numerical value to each outcome in a sample space. And this allows us to quantify the result of a random experiment. And in this course, and most places, they use uppercase letters such as X to represent random variables, and their specific values or realizations are shown by lowercase letters. So remember, this uppercase X is the result of flipping 2 coins and looking at the sum. So that's the random variable. But when I, for example, see the actual value, which is 1, that for showing that, I use the lowercase x. So that's a realization of the actual random variable. And as you mentioned, random variables are either discrete or continuous. And discrete means that we get a countable number of distinct values. And in this case, we use something called probability mass function, or PMF, which assigns probabilities to each possible value, like exactly what we did in the previous slide. But we can also have continuous random variables. And continuous random variables can assume any value within a given range or interval. And in this case, we use something called probability density function, or PDF, to describe these random variables. That's the probability of the variable taking values in that range. And in this case, the probability that that variable takes exactly a value is 0. And therefore, probabilities are assigned over intervals, right? So that's like the main distinction between discrete and continuous random variables. For discrete ones, as we did before, we can find, for example, probability of x equals 1, and we can actually find that, and that was non-zero. But if you have a continuous random variable, regardless of whatever that distribution is, probability that x exactly equals 1 is 0 because it's continuous. So if we cannot assign mass or probabilities to just any value that we have, otherwise we run into issues with the normalization part of probability. Okay, so now let's get into details of discrete random variables. If x is a discrete random variable, then obviously we can define something called the probability mass function, or PMF, which is the probability that uppercase x equals the lowercase x, which is the specific value of realization. And we can show this using also this px. So px here means probability of x equals x. And if x is, again, a discrete random variable, now we can define something called cumulative distribution function, or CDF, which is probability that the random variable x is less than or equal to x. So in this case, we actually have a summation where we add all probability mass functions at points t where t is less than or equal to x. And we use uppercase F to represent the CDF. So as an example of this, let's say we have a random variable x that is equal to 1, 2, or 3. So it's a countable number of values. So that's a discrete random variable. And we know that P1 equals 1 over 2. So that's the probability that x equals 1. And probability that x equals 2 is 1 over 3. And we want to find and plot the probability mass function. So the first thing that we need to do here to answer this question is that we know that this random variable x can take on 3 values, and the sum of probabilities must equal 1, which gives us the probability that x equals 3, which is 1 minus 1 over 2 minus 1 over 3, which if you do the math is 1 over 6. And you can see now the plot of the probability mass function. And I want you to have this picture in mind whenever you talk about discrete random variables, right? So in this case, you can see the red line. The probability is always 0, except these like spikes that we have. So probability of x equals 1 is 0.5, then x equals 2, 0.3. And then we found the probability that x equals 3, which is here 1 over 6, which is close to that 0.2 that we have there. And so therefore, that's kind of like the idea here. And if I want to find, for example, the cumulative distribution function, you can see that at 1 is 0.5. But if I want to say find the cumulative distribution function, or CDF, at 2.5, then we have to add this mass we have for 1 and the mass that we have for 2, right? So that's kind of like the key idea of cumulative distribution function when you want to find it based on the probability mass function. So we're going to go more into details of this later when we have individual lectures for discrete and continuous distributions, but the goal of this lecture is to give the basic idea for all of them. And so in this case, if you have a continuous random variable, the set of possible values for a continuous random variable is actually an interval or a range, and therefore probabilities are determined over intervals. Thus, a continuous random variable x, if you want to find the probability that falls within a range, is given by something called probability density function, or PDF. So PDF replaces PMF that we had before. And if you want to find probability that x belongs to some interval b, so b here is, let's say, like an interval from like 1 to 5 or 1 to 2. So this is the set of real numbers. You want to find an interval here. You get this PDF, which is this small f here, and you integrate this over this interval b. And one thing that we know for sure is that when we have a continuous random variable, it lies somewhere from negative infinity to infinity, which means that if you have a probability density function and you integrate that from negative infinity to infinity, we must get 1. And that's that normalization property that we discussed before for probabilities in general. And you can see here a version of this based on the probability density function. Okay, so now we can continue this. If the interval that we have b that we discussed before is the interval from a to b, so a is the lower point, b is the upper point. Now we can look at a to b of f of t dt, where f here is the probability density function, or PDF. And here we can see that y probability that x equals a specific value is 0 for continuous random variables, because you technically integrate this from a to a, and from calculus we know that this equals 0. And similarly, here we can define cumulative distribution function, which has a very exact same definition as cumulative distribution function, or CDF, for discrete random variables, except the fact that we now find this using integration rather than summation, right? So it's probability that x less than or equal to x, and that's negative infinity to x, because that's the lower bound or lower limit, that's the upper limit of f of t dt. And using the fundamental theorem of calculus, if you differentiate both sides of this, you can see that now the derivative of CDF is actually our PDF. So that's something to keep in mind for continuous random variables, right? We have PDF, or probability density function, and we have CDF, or cumulative distribution function. And the relationship is that if you take the derivative of CDF, we get PDF. And also we can convert this to what we had before in terms of CDF as a function of PDF too. So we can use one of these two formulas that we have here. Okay, so here we are introducing a continuous random variable, which is known as the exponential random variable. An exponential random variable, as you can see here, is defined for positive values of x. So for x less than or greater than or equal to 0, we have this 1 over 4 e to the negative x over 4, and this 4 is called a scale parameter, so it's technically 1 over theta e to the negative x over theta. And what I meant before is that for x less than or equal to 0, this is always 0, right? So this means that this function is only non-zero for positive values of x. So there are two things we want to show that here. The first thing is this is a valid probability density function, or PDF. And in order to show that, we need to find this integration from negative infinity to infinity to show that it adds up to 1. And then we want to find probability that this continuous random variable is greater than 4, right? So that's the interval here, from 4 to plus infinity. We want to know what's the probability that this random variable falls into that. So in this case, we're going to start in part A by integrating these from 0 to infinity, because we know that for negative infinity to 0, this function is always 0. So you can add that part, but it will disappear or vanish. And then we're going to write this as 1 over 4, and then this integration from 0 to 4 of e to the negative x4. And now you have to find the antiderivative here, right? So it's e to the negative x4. But in order to get what we have there, we also have to multiply this by negative 4. So that's our antiderivative. And then we evaluate this at 0 and infinity. So at infinity, this is 0 because it's e to the negative infinity. And at 0 is 1. So that gives us exactly what we are looking for. 0 minus negative 1, which gives us 1. And then if you want to find probability of x greater than 4, you can simply just change the lower limit here in the integration, and you get 4 to infinity of this PDF. And you can see that here we get this antiderivative, which is in the form of negative exponential of negative x over 4. We substitute these two values here, and we get e to the negative 1, and e is like 2.7, right? That's the famous number e, which gives us, if we find 1 over e, as 0.368. So in this slide, we're going to look at this actually probability density function, right? So this is that function 1 over 4 e to the negative x over 4 with the scale parameter 4, right? And what we're really asking here in this question is that first to show that the area under this entire curve is 1, which we did that. And here just we limited this to 20 on the x-axis when we plotted this, but this goes to infinity, right? But you can see that it gets very, very close to 0. And then we want to find probability of x greater than 4, which is this 0.368, which means that if we had only access to the CDF of this function, you could write this probability of x greater than 4 as 1 minus probability of x less than or equal to 4, and that's the CDF or cumulative distribution function, which means that the result is 1 minus f, or the uppercase F, 4, and that was our way to find this probability that we have here. But this gives you a good sense of this connection between probability density function and the area under that to find probabilities. Okay, so now we have a little bit more complex problem where we want to find PDF of a function based on the given CDF or cumulative distribution function. As you can see, it is very common for CDFs to have this stepwise form, meaning that we have different forms for different intervals on x. And so we have to now use the fact that we know that PDF can be obtained by taking the derivative of CDF. And for x less than 0, we're going to take the derivative of 0, which is 0. For x between 0 and 2, we take the derivative of x squared over 4, which is 2x over 4, which is x over 2. And you can see that for x greater than 2, the CDF is always 1, which means that its derivative actually is 0. And so this exactly gives us the form of probability density function here, or PDF, which is 0 for values of x less than 0. So this random variable will never take on negative values. It's always greater than or equal to 0. And then you can see that for this interval x between 0 and 2, that's the form of the PDF. And then for x greater than 2, the PDF again is 0. So this means that this random variable takes on values only between 0 and 2. And one thing you can do is to verify whether the area under this curve is equal to 1 from negative infinity to infinity, but it's not really difficult to show this because you will immediately see that this is actually a triangle, and that's a nice practice to make sure that you have a good understanding of PDFs for this lecture.